All right, folks, we are live. First, let me say welcome everyone for a historic day here in Becker County for us doing our very first virtual commission meeting. We're no different than many other boards and agencies around the country that we're learning new ways of doing, participating in meetings here. What I would like to do is take just a moment to go over how we will run the meeting and explain a bit about how Zoom is set up, and so that people will understand when they will have an opportunity to provide comments and how to do so. We have the system set up such that there are panelists and then there's attendees. The panelists that we have are the only ones that can be seen on video. They're the only ones that can talk openly during the meeting. They're the only ones that can share a screen on their computer if they choose to, and they can only observe the meeting in the full capacity. They can observe everything in full capacity. The panelists include the 5 county commissioners, the clerk, the county manager, and our attorney. So that's the only individuals that you would actually be able to see. And that's the only ones that we will be able to see as well. Everyone else that's calling in is doing so as an attendee. That means you have the opportunity to be able to speak when a request is made, and we give you the ability to do so. You will not be able to be seen on video or share your screens, but you can also observe everything that is ongoing. So only the panelists will be able to see things. What I'll ask of my fellow panelists, the commissioners, to mute your mics so that if you bump some things around, that don't start causing the screen to jump around. But just remember, if you go to speak, whether it's to make a motion or second or want to speak, you have to unmute or else we may not hear you. We're doing public comments a slight bit different on the agenda. If you notice, we have an opportunity for public comments coming up on the earlier part of the agenda as item number 4. But we also have a section at the very end, item number 11 on the agenda is public comments again at the very end of the meeting. We will only be taking public comments during those 2 periods. You have the opportunity to provide public comments at the beginning section, whatever topic you would like to speak about, including any items that may be on the agenda. During the meeting itself, when we're taking action items, we will not be taking public comments during those individual action items. We will, at the end of the meeting, again, under section 11, allow another opportunity for public comments. So there's 4 ways by which you can provide public comments. At any time, you can email to comment@bakercountyfl.org. We have someone monitoring those comments, and we will read those in one of the 2 public comment sections. You can also, through the Zoom function, there's an opportunity to click chat. If you click chat, that will send me a notice on the screen and all the panelists that lets me know somebody is wanting to comment, and I'll then read that comment aloud so that it's made part of the public record. You can also, as part of the Zoom features, raise your hand. The raise your hand on the Zoom function allows someone to know that you're wanting to speak, and at an appropriate time, I'll ask our IT manager, Mr. Clint Shivers, who's serving as our host for the meeting, to let me know if there's anyone that has raised their hand. And if so, he will then give you audio control and allow you to speak. Once he gives you audio control, you will also need to take your system off of mute if it is on mute before you speak. The 4th way is to call directly the phone number 904-259-0210. We have someone monitoring that phone, and will take a phone call, and they will summarize your comments briefly and send that to us so that we can read that as part of the public record in one of the 2 public comment sections. So those are your 4 options. Email, use the chat function, use the raise your hand function, or else call directly to that number. So Those are the four options. What we would like to do now as part of this is, since I didn't do it officially, I will officially call the Board of County Commissioners meeting to order. Again, this is a unusual way of doing business. I think it's a new normal in many ways around the country, but we would hope that we will be returned back as a joint body sitting side by side once again over the next couple weeks. But until then, we'll continue to operate in a safe manner. I do hope everyone that is listening or viewing is certainly being safe with their family and friends. So with that, I will ask Commissioner Anderson, if he would, to do the invocation and then move on to the pledge. Commissioner Anderson, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Let's pray. Father, we just want to thank you, Lord, for this awesome opportunity, Lord, that you've given us. Lord, not that we're together, but we are together as one community and one family, Lord. Father, we ask you, Lord, to just keep your hand of safety upon each and every one that's out there, Lord, everyone who's listening. And Lord, we just ask you to grant us wisdom today as we do the county's business, that we would make the right decisions that you would have us to make. Father, right now we want to ask you a special prayer for Mr. Croft today, Lord. He's going to have a surgery on this Thursday. And Father, we will ask for the Lord to take the hands of their surgeons, Lord, and direct them and use him, Jesus, Lord. Right now, Lord, we just want to give you the praise, the honor for everything that you do for us. Father, we want to ask you to keep your hand in safety upon the first responders, those that's out there, Lord, fighting this virus and everything else, Lord, on the front line. We just want to give them praise and just remember them, Lord. And Father, right now, Lord, we just want to give you the praise and the glory for each and everything. And Lord, we know, Lord, without a doubt that you have this epidemic under control and under your feet. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the
flag
flag
of the United States of America and to the republic,
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. And just for clarification, thank you for the prayer, Commissioner Anderson. He referenced Mr. Croft, and he was referring to Commissioner Croft's father, who is going to have some surgical procedures this week, not Commissioner Croft himself, but his family. And we would like to make sure we keep Commissioner Croft's father in our prayers.
Thank you.
Let me explain one other thing to everyone that's listening on how we're going to conduct voting as well. We typically have a motion and a second placed on the floor before we take comments from the board and then call for a vote. Because of our meeting arrangements being virtual, we're going to handle voting slightly different. Once a motion is put on the floor and properly seconded, I will identify the commissioner that put it on the floor and the one that made the second motion just to provide clarity. And then I'll ask for the vote. I'll ask, are there any dissenting votes? I will give a couple seconds for anybody to speak up. And if not, then that means there was no one dissenting and the vote passes unanimously. If there is a dissenting vote, I will then ask for a roll call vote. And I'm going to do it as if we were sitting at the board, where I'll start with Commissioner Roden, Commissioner Steele, Commissioner Anderson, and then Commissioner Croft, and then I'll vote as well. So we will handle voting slightly different than what we have done in the past as part of a normal board meeting. Does any of my panelists, the commissioners, anybody have any questions with that? Hearing none, we will move forward. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Excuse me, the approval of the agenda as we have it. Are there any changes requested for the agenda as it stands?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
second,
I have a motion from Commissioner Anderson. I have a second from Commissioner Steele. Any discussions? If not, any dissenting votes? With that motion carries. The agenda stands as presented. The next item is the approval of this consent agenda. We have a couple regular session meetings as well as public hearing minutes, as well as an expense report that's been included in the packet for review. Do I hear a motion for the approval of the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Move to,
I heard a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Do I hear a second?
second.
I have a second by Commissioner Roden.
That was Commissioner Steele, I think, Commissioner Bennett.
Fair enough. Commissioner Steele made the motion. Commissioner Roden made the second. That's
Yes.
why we're doing this, because sometimes it's difficult to hear.
I understand.
So I have a motion. I have a second. Are there any discussions by the panel, by the board? If not, are there any dissenting votes? Hearing no dissension, that motion carries unanimously, and this consent agenda is approved. Now we do move into the time for public comments. And I am looking now to see if there are any comments that have come in. To the county manager, have you received any emails?
No, sir, not as of right now.
Thank you. I'm looking for the chats to see if there's any messages coming in so far on chat.
There is no chats at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Plant Drivers. So I do not have any comments by email. I'm not aware of any phone calls that has been sent to us by email. There is no one raised their hand to speak, nor do I have any chats. So with that, I will take public comments again later at the end of the meeting. With that, we'll move on to constitutional officers. Being that I see none in the room with me, but I do know our clerk is on the panel with us. I'll give her an opportunity if she has anything that she would like to say. And hearing none, are there any other constitutional officers that have joined us in any manner, in any format, as attendees? And I see not, so we will move on. The first item under new business is the emergency management update with Ms. Beck Parker. And so with that, I will give her the opportunity to talk. Clint, he will give, our IT manager will give her the ability to speak so everyone can hear it. And I do not have anything for a presentation that I'm aware of. Beck, are you there?
Hello, Chairman, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear a little bit of feedback, but yes, ma'am, you have
Okay.
the floor.
Okay, just a quick COVID-19 update for you folks. We are hitting, currently today, reached in 11 days of no new positives in COVID-19 for our county. We are standing at 17 positives and 3 deaths. Currently, we have 62 mission requests into the state for supplies, 46 of which have been completed at this time. So the supplies have been coming into our healthcare partners in the county and seem to be going well. The flow seems to be going well. They seem to be well supplied. I'm not sure if y'all have any other questions for me. The one thing I have for y'all is I want to thank y'all for continuing to renew our local state of emergency. And I would ask that y'all please continue to do that local state of emergency for the time being.
Thank you, ma'am. Does any of the commissioners have any questions for Beck?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Crawl, proceed.
yeah, are we, is anyone from the health department joining us today, or is that our only update?
Miss Amy Johns, the interim director of the Baker County Health Department, is also on the call. If you have any questions for her, Clint can open up her mic.
Okay, yeah, mine might be more Ms.
Ms.
Johns.
Jones is open and available.
Can you hear me? This is Amy.
Go ahead, Ms. Amy.
Yes, Mr. Crowe.
Yes, ma'am. Question is there any contact tracking being done in our county? And if so, which agency is in charge of that?
We are the local county health department. We have been tracking, doing contact tracking and investigations since our very first case. What we do with that is when we receive a positive case, we identify all the contacts to that case based on symptomology and the dates that we receive. And then we contact those folks and we put them in self-isolation based on their date of exposure. And then we actually contact them daily to make sure that they have not developed symptoms, because then that would warrant us to do testing on them. So I can tell you that the staff at the health department, we are working 7 days a week during the day and a lot of evenings too. So
Sure.
I think that I can't say enough things about what all the staff. They're working out in positions that aren't normally their positions. We've established a call center, so if you call the county health department, you can actually push a link that takes you straight to a COVID call center. And we have about 9 staff members that it routes to their phones just to answer questions for folks. A lot of questions about testing and stuff, and just general information that they're inquiring about.
One of the questions I also have, thank you for that answer, and is if someone is in a hospital in another county, but they're a resident of our county, how does that track?
Your case goes back to your county of residence. So when you go to get your lab done, wherever you go tested, whatever address you submit to that test, it goes back to that county. So if you are in a hospital in Duval County, but your residence is in Baker, that lab result's going to go back to Baker County. Or if you work in Baker County, but you live in Duval County and you get tested here in Baker while you're at work, that lab result's going to go back to Duval County. So it goes back to your county of residence.
Are you pretty confident with the numbers we've been seeing and some of the data? I know at the very beginning, I found a couple of glitches in the data, with average,
I am very
things like that, and
confident.
comfortable with it now.
The dashboard's updated twice a day at 11:30 and 6:30. We're given that data a couple hours before that, and then we go through it and make sure that it's the data is accurate. There are times where if we get a positive case for someone and they have maybe their address was not accurate as far as their county of residence, and then when we do contact them and do an interview, sometimes we do find out that they're located in another county, and so then we have to input that in our system, and then it will redirect it to that county. Sometimes it does, occasionally that'll crosswire, but that's very rare. That's why they give it to us preliminary, just so we can make sure that we verify all the accuracy behind that. So I feel very confident in the data.
Are you, with us having 11 days, I think you said, without any cases, any new cases, how are you feeling about the spread of this in our county? And can we expect more deaths? Or do you know?
As far as I'm
I'm
not
not trying telling you to be God and guess on, but,
I think that we're still testing daily, so I don't anticipate us changing any approach here at the county health department as far as what we're doing, unless we get a different direction from the Department of Health in Tallahassee. But we're still testing daily, so I would anticipate that we'll still continue to have cases to show up. I mean, I can't say that for certain, but I don't, I hope not, but I think that we will see those random, that number change. The biggest, there's always, I know they released this week in the facilities. That was part of the data that they did release by county. So, it's hard to tell, with that. As far as deaths, that I really, I don't know. we work with all the facilities in the county, and we have provided a lot of resources and education, and we follow up on those positive cases, and we keep up with how they're doing. We call the hospitals if they are hospitalized to check on them, to kind of see how their progress is going.
Mr. Chairman, I have, when Commissioner Cross finished, I got a couple questions.
Yes, sir. Mr. Croft, do you have more questions?
Yeah, one more. Good. Ms. Johns, who can get tested? Can someone just say, I want to go down there and get tested if they're not showing any symptoms? Or do they have to be showing? So how does that work?
What we're doing is first, when someone calls, we try to refer them to their primary care provider, simply because, if you are having symptoms, a COVID-19 test will tell you if you have COVID-19, but it won't treat your symptoms. So, when someone calls, we would like them to be evaluated by their own primary care provider that knows them and their health history. And then if their provider's not unable to to do the testing, they can write an order and send it to they can come into the health department and we will test them, right then. If they don't have a primary care provider, then what we're doing is we're scheduling them to see one of our providers. So when we don't have any gap there with that. And so they can then see our provider who then evaluates them, and then can be tested. I know that they are doing some testing in Jacksonville and Gainesville for the first responders and the healthcare workers for asymptomatic ones. And those would go to a commercial lab. The state lab is doing testing for those that are symptomatic.
Very good. Thank you, and thank you for what you and your staff are doing. And it is appreciated when you are in our prayers.
Thank you, Commissioner Croft. Commissioner Anderson, you had some questions. You're up.
Yes, the question I have is you being the healthcare professional leader, I would think in this county as far as what's going on in Tallahassee. Have you heard anything coming out of Tallahassee that maybe we will be getting off of this stay-at-home order by the first of the month? And what is your feeling and how comfortable are you that we get back to not all the way normal, but practically back to normal in our local community? We're having 17 cases total, and we haven't had any in 11 days. What is your thoughts on that?
I know that they're looking at that daily up in Tallahassee. They did put a task force together yesterday. The governor did as far as looking at that. We're an incubation period for symptomology is 2 to 14 days. So that's why I would caution, we are 11 days, but that doesn't mean that we don't still have folks that are being isolated currently. So they're still in that 14-day window. So, I would still be cautious in that and understanding that we do still have folks that are isolated. We haven't had any new positives. We still have folks that are isolated that are in that window to start showing symptoms still. So while we continue, I think we have to always keep that in mind.
Sure. And if we get to the May 1st area, would that days of quarantine be up for those just in quarantine now?
I'd have to look at that data because every case every contact has a different date.
Okay.
So I would really have to look back with our EPI staff about as far as what I don't know what the furthest date out actually is. And it really depends. We can get a new positive case, but that doesn't always, it really goes back to their symptomology and 48 hours prior to that and what the exposure was. So we could have, 10 different people that have 10 different dates to one case because it just kind of happens to be when they were exposed.
Okay. The reason I'm bringing up these questions is I'm going to be bringing it up to the chairman to have the authority on May 1st and I'm going to be asking the other commissioners their opinion on May 1st if the governor of this state starts lifting some of the restrictions on restaurants, hair place, whatever restrictions that he lists, that our county can follow along with the state guidelines, and our chairman would have the authority without us having to meet again on May 5th, that he could go ahead and give the authority to lift those restrictions in our county. That is the reason I was asking the questions, and I just want to know your opinion on that, being the health professional.
I think we're just gonna have to, I know what's gonna, we still have, a week and a half before we get there. So, it's hard to comment because we don't know we've got pending tests out right now. I did check just a minute ago, and some of our addresses that are flagged are further. Actually, I did get an answer while we were on this call. Are further out through May, so they're past May as far as some of the addresses that are flagged. And so I think that I don't really have a clear answer on without not knowing. We don't know what's going to happen in the next week and a half as far as if we will or will not have cases.
Right. I'm still going to give that same recommendation, and I'm going to ask for probably in commissioner comments that the board talk about giving the chairman that authority.
Right.
Hey, Commissioner Anderson, do you have any more questions?
That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The other commissioners have any questions for Ms. Grant?
I don't really have a question, Chairman, but because Commissioner Anderson asked what I wanted to, but I just wanted to tell Amy, thank you and all the staff, because I know they are tirelessly working, like she says, 7 days a week. And I just want them to know that we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I would like to echo those same thoughts on behalf of the entire commission. We express our appreciation, Ms. Grant. And again, we're glad you're here handling this now. So thank you very much, Amy. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We will move on. Becca, you have anything else, or are you good?
No, sir, I'm good.
Thank you, sir. All right. We will move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item that I have is the authorization to submit the Emergency 911 Rural Grant Program. And we have that one's going to be handled by Ms. Beck Parker as well. Beck, you are up.
Hey, good evening again. Yes, this is the E911 Rural County grant application. It's for the amount of $7,366. That is for support of our Geocom GIS software and 911 reporting system in the comm center. This is a reoccurring grant that we do every spring and fall, and it is a reimbursement grant.
Thank you, Beck. Beck, quick question for you. Is there any type of matching funds for this grant?
There is no matching funds for this grant.
Thank you. With that, we have the recommendation to move forward to approve. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Is there any discussions by the commissioners? If not, I will now entertain any dissenting votes. Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. You can move forward, Beck.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next item on the agenda is our benefits package, and we have that up, and I think Ms. Wendy Owen is going to provide us the update on our benefits.
Yes.
And Ms. Wendy, I am going to attempt to navigate through this for you. So you tell me what it is that you want, when you want me to move to the next slide.
Okay, first, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you for having me as part of your first virtual commission meetings. This is kind of exciting and different, so I appreciate it. Just two quick agenda items I wanted to go through. One was the ProShare agreement. This is for your 2018-2019 plan year with Blue Cross Blue Shield. One of the things that we had negotiated in the contract was a return of some of the savings on the premiums versus claims and administrative costs. In the past, when we were insured with other carriers, and United Healthcare being the most recent one prior to Blue Cross, any premium savings were always retained by the insurance company. And in this instance, Blue Cross put what we call a participating plan together, which allows the county to share in some of the savings. And the savings for you guys this year in your sharing portion was $61,012. And that check was already remitted to the county on April the 8th. So I just wanted to update the board on that. So you can move on to the next one unless anybody has any questions on that ProShare premium savings.
All right, do I have any commissioners have any comments? Seeing none, continue on.
All right. The next thing is your teledoc utilization. Just as a reminder, the board is offering or paying for this benefit for all employees and their dependents. The cost is $6 per employee per month, and it covers every county employee and their dependents. And basically it's virtual visits. So this is the second time we've gone over this report. So this is the calendar year ending 2019. We had an approximate savings. I say the plan is assuming an approximate savings of about $72,897. That's an assumption. And what that assumption is based upon is the number of visits that happened in 2019 had they gone to the emergency room. That is a plan cost that could have gone towards the Blue Cross plan. But if you really put feet on this, it's really saving the employees those emergency room copays. So that total was for the employees about $28,000, $28,200 in copays. And then the HRA had a savings of $14,100. So it's a great program. Again, it's virtual visits. They're triaging. They're even triaging some of the COVID-19 in the sense of fever, feeling run down, shortness of breath. They're referring those calls over into the health department or to their primary care doctor. Average response time on hold for your members is about 6 minutes. I will say in March, I do know those hold times went up to about 60 minutes because of the volume of calls that were coming in. But other virtual visit providers, I've heard that those times have been 5 to 6 hours. And I will say that they're not sitting on hold. It's just a response from the time that they initiate a call. Normally you initiate a call and get a response back within 6 minutes. Now it's you're initiating a call and you get a response back within 60 minutes. And that's due to that COVID-19. So this is just really your update. I think it's a phenomenal program. It's an excellent member satisfaction. You'll see down at the bottom, the majority of your visits that your members are using, about 73% of them are also getting prescription medication. So that tells you they're using it for a reason and they need it. So just another value add that the county is offering to their employees, and we certainly appreciate that.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the commissioners? If not, well, Wendy, we thank you again for participating in this meeting. We thank you for the information that's provided. It's great to see a bit of return of the premiums, the savings plans. And again, the teledoc, I think is a great option for many of our staff. So appreciate you bringing that forward as well.
Absolutely.
Anything else that you'd like to add?
For me, I would just tell you on a timeline, you'll probably be seeing me hopefully in person in the next 4 weeks or so, but we're already gearing up for your 2020-2021 plan year. I know you're in budget, so we're working on those numbers as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any commissioners have any other questions? If not, thank you, ma'am, and we will move on to the next item.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And we will do that as soon as I get to the next item, which is authorization to purchase a cat wheel loader. Mr. Robert Fletcher. Is Mr. Fletcher on the line?
Okay, can y'all hear me?
We can.
All right. First of all, I'd like to say hey to everybody. It seems like it's been there forever since I've seen y'all, but anyway, I'll get that out of the way. This is asking for authorization to purchase a new 926M Caterpillar wheel loader from Ring Power Corporation. It's off the Florida Sheriff's Association bid. This purchase was included in this year's budget, and we have the money for it.
Okay, we have a recommendation, and he indicated this was already a planned acquisition, planned purchase. It was budgeted for in current year. Do we know how much we budgeted for? Is this fully covered by what was budgeted?
Yes, we budgeted $175,000 for it.
And we're spending $174,943, $57 shy. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Anderson. I have a second from Commissioner Steele. Is there any discussions by the board? If not, we'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes? Hearing no dissension, that motion passes unanimously. The next item is County Road 125. Mr. Fletcher, you are up again.
Okay, this is for design services for the section of 125 North, from basically Blair Circle there to Park Street. That little section, that's the only section left on 125 now that doesn't have been widened and resurfaced. It's FDOT grant for a total grant amount of $650,000, and the proposed engineering fee for it is $58,060 from North Florida Professional Services, which is one of our continuing service firms, and I recommend that we award it to those, or give the job to them. Actually, it'd be a task because they're already under contract. So.
Thank you, sir. We have a recommendation from our road superintendent for moving forward with the proposal for engineering services for County Road 125. Is there a motion, or what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Steele. I have a second by Commissioner Anderson. Is there any discussions or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for the motion that's on the floor? Hearing none, that motion is approved unanimously. The next item on the board, and by the way, this is the Mr. Fletcher show for a little while. The next item on the agenda is the O.C. Horn Road time extension. Mr. Fletcher, you're up.
Yeah, this is one of the FDOT funded projects for O.C. Horn Road. This is a time extension along with a resolution. They've changed their way they're doing it. Before we could just ask it, and they normally just done it in-house. It didn't have to go before the board, but now they've changed their way they're doing it. So this is something we have to do for a time extension now. So.
Thank you, sir. This does not change any funding. It just gives us some additional time to continue making progress on the project. What is the
That's correct.
Motion to read resolution 2020-12 by title, please.
I have a motion. Do I hear? I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Mr. Attorney, do you mind reading the resolution by title?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-12, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a supplemental funding agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 435323-1-54-01 for a time extension to June 30th, 2021.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion. We have a second. It's resolution has been read. Any discussions? If not, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for resolution 2020-12? Hearing no dissenting votes, that motion carried unanimously. The next item on on the agenda is
The next item is a maintenance and construction agreement for the LAP project on County Road 23A, better known as Woodlawn Road. This project's already been funded, and it's going out for bid this week. This is just their agreement for being able to construct, and that we're agreeing to maintain it once it is constructed.
okay. So this is just a resolution. I want to slow down 1 second. I've got two different things here. I want to make sure we've got correct. Okay, resolution 2020-09 for Woodlawn Road is the funding agreement. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to read by title, Resolution 2020-09.
I have a motion by Commissioner Roden. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Anderson. Mr. Commando, would you mind reading resolution 2020-09 by title?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-09, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a construction and maintenance agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 439497-1-58-01 for the resurfacing of Woodlawn Road from County Road 125 to State Road 121.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second. The resolution 2020-09 has been read. Is there any discussion by the board? If not, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for resolution 2020-09? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Resolution 2020-09 has passed. The next item.
It's also a supplement agreement with FDOT for the Glen Nursery / Reed Stafford project for a time extension, along with resolution 2020-13.
Okay, 1 second, please. Is this just part of the attachments that goes with that resolution?
Yes, the attachments with it.
Okay, it had a separate bookmark. That's what created the concern.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You have two documents for that. Resolution 2020-13 and the agreement should be there together.
Yes, but I was dealing with 2020-09. There's two documents for that, this bookmark. One is the resolution, one is the actual agreement.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're good. The resolution covers that. So we're now at 2020-13 for Glen Nursery. Okay?
Yes, sir.
That's
Mr.
correct.
Fletcher, you're up once again.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Fletcher, this is 2020-13. This is supplemental funding agreement with FDOT for a time extension. This is for
Yep.
the
Reed Stafford, Glen Nursery Road.
Glen Nursery Road.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2020-13.
I have a motion by Commissioner Steele. Do I have a second?
Second, read by title.
I have a second by Commissioner Anderson. Mr. Commando, would you read the resolution 2020-13?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-13, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a supplemental funding agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 432774-1-54-1 for a time extension to April 28th, 2021.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion. We have a second. It has been read by title. Are there any further discussions by the board? If not, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for resolution 2020-13? Hearing none, that motion is carried unanimously, and we will move on to the next item. The next one is a memo for the award for bid 2020-05 Nursery Boulevard Curb and Gutter. Mr. Robert Fletcher.
Okay, we bid out the section that's gonna be curb and gutter and the drainage system for the new section of Nursery Boulevard. We received 3 bids. Low responsive bid was from Florida Roads Contracting for $239,999.15, and I'm recommending we award to them.
Thank you, sir. And for clarification, just make sure the board understands, this is the section of the new Nursery Boulevard Curb and Gutter, which is the one that starts at County Road 125 and goes behind, adjacent to and behind the Journey Food Store. Mr. Fletcher, does it go beyond the turn where it hits at I-10 or just the curb and gutter section only?
Just the curb and gutter section.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question, Commissioner, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fletcher, have we ever used this company before? Just the name sounds new to me.
No, we've never used them before, but they're on the approved state contract, the state approved contractor list, and the state has already give their okay to award to them also. They've reviewed them. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve as presented.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Roden. This is not a title. Are there any discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. If there's any dissenting votes, please speak up now. Hearing no dissenting votes, that motion carried unanimously. Okay. The last item that we have at this moment is the road department's pending projects. He's got quite a few projects on his list that he's been tracking and working on. If you recall, I asked Mr. Fletcher, as well as for the road department, as well as our fire EMS to give us updates periodically, and this is the road department's opportunity to do that. So Mr. Fletcher, if you don't mind, just run through those briefly and just give us an update on where things are at.
Okay, on the Reed Stafford / Glen Nursery Road, that first phase that's under construction from 125 to Smoky Road is underway and doing good. It shouldn't be too much longer if this rain would leave them alone, probably another month and a half, and it should be about complete. On the second item is the resurfacing of 229 and south from I-10 to US 90. That was one that we bid and was over budget, so the state come back and kicked in some more money, and it's going through their process now, and we're just waiting on them to give the authority to award the bid on it. OC Horn Phase 1, actually, there's been a little change there. For Phase 1, we've already went out to bid for it. On Turner Cemetery, design is still underway on it. On County Road 127 from 125 to Fred Rollison, the design is almost complete for that section. Madison Street is complete. We in the closeout phase of closing out the grant now. And on the County Road 23A / Woodlawn lap project, we're going out for bids this week for that project. Nursery Boulevard, again, we're well under construction on that with this section we just bid, or just awarded the bid to, and also on the remainder of the section, we have got 90% of the base done down for that section that we done with county staff. Woodstock, the design is almost complete on that. We're waiting on some permits for it now. Then on 127 north from County Road 120 to Moccasin Circle, we're waiting till we get the bids in on the first section of 127 to see how those numbers are gonna come in, because we might have to move the project limits to make it all work out, so. On the County Road 125 bridge over Cedar Creek, the rehabilitation of it, where we will be going out for bids for it here probably in the next 2 weeks. On the County Road 229 from I-10 to the County Road 229 south from I-10 to the county line, another lap project. The design survey is underway for that project. On County Road 125 south from State Road 121 to just south of Woodlawn, the design has been completed and it's under review by the FDOT now for their comments. And then on County Road 125 north from Blair Circle to Park Street, y'all just awarded that to the design firm, so the design will get underway pretty quick on it. And on Willis Hodge Road, I'll be selecting a design firm to give us a price here shortly on that one. So I'm ready for any questions anybody may have on those. So.
Mr. Chairman, you're still muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Are there any questions or comments from the board member?
Mr. Chair, I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. Mr. Fletcher, we're glad to see you up and about and back at work, and Godspeed, and maybe you'll have a full recovery this time.
I appreciate it. I appreciate all y'all's thoughts and prayers in that little troubling time I had there. So.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Fletcher, again, we appreciate what you're doing. You can see from this list that Mr. Fletcher stays very busy, not only managing our maintenance operations, but also continuing to make sure we have projects that move through the pipeline with the appropriate approvals to keep these things moving. So thank you, Mr. Fletcher, for what you're doing there, and keep up the good work.
Appreciate it.
The next item is a memo. This is on the agenda where it is up for Ms. Kathy Williams, authorization to pay FMIT the invoice. Ms. Kathy, you're up.
Good afternoon, commissioners. It's very nice to see you all. What you have in front of you is our annual workers' comp audit and the invoice that shows the difference between what they actually billed as the premium and what the actual cost was. Each year, it's one of the projections that you have to give. It's all based on payroll figures. So if your overtime goes up, if you have additional staff during the year, the raises, and as you all know, a lot of times the raises are not given or discussed till the very end of the budget when we find out what the final dollars are. So it's very hard to give a, very accurate projection to the carrier, but we try to do the best we can. But this year our cost will be around, it's $39,894, the difference, and that is for the entire county employment. Sheriff's Department, Road Department, all of your departments, tax collector, property appraiser, all the constitutionals. So it encompasses everyone. So we are just asking that the board approve this. It is an annual audit that we have every year. So if anyone has any questions.
Commissioner Bennett, you're on mute.
Thank you. I grabbed the protein bar just before the meeting, and it's got me a little tickle in my throat, so I keep coughing, so I keep putting it on mute. My apologies, but thank you for telling me. This is an action item. We do need approval from the board for authorization of the $39,732 for the additional premium for the annual workman's comp audit. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve as presented.
I have a motion approved by Commissioner Anderson. I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Are there any discussions by the board? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, all that might be dissenting, please signify. Otherwise, hearing no dissenting votes, that motion carries unanimously. The next item I have is Resolution 2020-11. Resolution 2020-11 is budget amendment by Ms. Cheryl Ruiz. Ms. Ruiz, are you up? Ms. Ruiz, are you up? Are you there?
Cheryl, make sure you're not muted.
We still haven't heard you, Ms. Ruiz. Are you still there, Cheryl?
Cheryl, I see, this is Clint. I see that you're connected through your computer. Call in and use the phone to make your audio.
She has indicated she has called in.
Okay, hold on.
Cheryl, are you there now?
Now, Cheryl?
Can you hear me now?
There you
We
are.
can hear you now. Thank you, Cheryl. We now have in mind Ms. Ruiz to go over Resolution 2020-11. You are up, Cheryl.
Chairman, one correction, if you don't mind, please, sir. You just discussed line item 11, which approved the FMIT invoice for $39,732. The actual invoice is in the amount of $39,894. I don't know if we need to reject that approval from their commissioners and reapprove this since it's a higher dollar amount.
Thank you, ma'am. I see what took place. The cover memo does not match the actual invoice itself. There was an error that was introduced by that.
That's correct.
Mr. Commando, how would you recommend that we amend that?
Someone would just make a motion to amend the previous motion for the correct amount.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Commissioner Croft to amend the previous motion to provide the correct amount. Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Anderson. With that, are there any dissenting votes? If not, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Ruiz, for catching that Scribner's error. Thank you. Now we move on to Resolution 2020-11. You're up, Cheryl.
Moving on to number 12, Resolution 2020-11 is the budget amendment. We do this almost every year with this audit, and I am asking for an additional $39,894 in our budget. I will be asked, and I know I will be, where will the money come from? Earlier this year, we did have higher property values. We asked for, the interim county manager and myself asked for contingencies be carried over into the admin budget level. This is where this money will come from. Any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. And this is basically this matches the budget for the invoice that we just approved. Okay.
This does match for the amount that was asked for, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. And that's why you called it so quickly, because it didn't match your documents. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I just have one question. This is,
Yes.
issue. Cheryl, just on money we just got back from the insurance, does that go in general fund or does that go straight to insurance or to line item?
I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat it.
The money we just got back from the insurance from your fund, 61,000, whatever, does that go in general fund or does that go in a line item?
At this time, I was instructed to put it into our HRA account. There will have to be a vote on that and a budget amendment, which will be next board meeting. So that is going into a restricted amount.
Thank you.
Okay. We still don't have a motion for resolution 2020-11. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to read resolution 2020-11 by title.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Croft.
I have a second by Commissioner Croft. Mr. Mando, would you please read resolution 2020-11 by title?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-11, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, adopting an amendment to the budget for fiscal year 2019-2020, providing for an effective date.
Thank you. I have a motion. I have a second. The resolution's been read. Are there any questions from the board? If not, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for resolution 2020-11? Hearing no dissenting votes, that motion passes and carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the budget schedule for the year 2021 with workshops. And Ms. Lewis, you have the floor once again.
Again, good evening, and this might take some time, as it normally does. We are still on the same time frame as we had been last year, which was requested from the finance director to kind of give some of the same layout. There's going to be a little bit of a difference, though. Last year, and we are looking at page 132 in your agenda package. I understand there is 2 pages here, 132 and 133. Just to tell you the difference real quick, I apologize that both pages were put in for confusion, but just to tell you, 133 was submitted to DOR for their time approval. I typically go to DOR to get their approval on a lot of things, and they did finally approve with one exception, and of course it was after this was sent out. The first thing is last year we ended our presentations with our board or meeting behind the scenes with our directors around May. So say let's May 29th. June 1st, we continued to talk with them. And then in June, or the latter part of June, we had a presentation, all-day presentation with the board. That's where we need to decide what date we're going to do this. And you wanted it like last year, so an all-day. I did email calendars for y'all, so you can have it right there in front of you with the board dates on there. We did not have it on a board week last week. We had it in between board weeks. So I am at the pleasure of the board on when to schedule an all-day session.
Okay, I will tell you up front that there is, first week, I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be on vacation. I've already got that scheduled several months ago. So I'll tell you the dates that I will not be available, so we can work around that.
And I'll mark them as we go.
I believe it's the week of the 31st through the 6th that I will be gone. And so I will miss that June 2nd board meeting anyway. I'll be out of town.
Okay. Any other commissioner conflicts?
I'm checking it, Dave, I'm sorry.
Can we schedule it the second week of June? One of the days of the second week of June? That will give us all time to look at the numbers that comes in from the Constitution or whoever's going to be submitting their budgets. I don't want to do it real quick, so we don't have time to look at the numbers, so we can't and get our questions together or any kind of comments. So if we could do it the second week, it would work for me. One of the days, the second week of June.
I would suggest doing it on Tuesday, June 9th. Keep it consistent with Tuesdays.
Sounds good.
So would that work for the other commissioners?
I can do that.
I'm good with that, but the whole question was, is that too early?
No, I think that'll be good because our budgets are going to be coming in from the county on May 29th. That'll give us a couple weeks to look at what's coming in, and then we can make adjustments from that.
You'll have constitutional budgets turned in June 1st, and I will give those to you, and then we
Yes.
could discuss at our workshop.
Yeah, that'll give us, I think, ample time to look through the budgets, and then we can have a good, productive meeting in June 9th, I would think.
And let me ask you, if I could, I think that we may see another special session by the legislature. And I'm not sure that this budget year may be revisited to a certain extent. And I wonder with the COVID going on, when can we expect anything instead? Because how far behind are they going to be to push us behind? Because I have a feeling, it's a hit on some state numbers.
Well, I would agree, Commissioner Croft, that there's probably going to be some adjustments made to it. But as of right now, we don't know when we'll have it. We haven't had any relief from the dates that we have to provide information for budgets. So while we acknowledge the fact that if they get moved out or get adjusted, as of right now, I think it's prudent for us to go ahead and at least schedule a date.
I understand. I just didn't know if we needed to go later than earlier.
We can always reschedule, I think, but I think that we need to go ahead and move forward. And if we need to, like we said last year, if we needed another day, we can do that also.
Okay, commissioners, if you could please understand, these are only going to be our directors presenting to you and constitutionals. We will probably not have state revenues or 3/4 of the state revenues until August.
Yeah, we can't wait that long.
Exactly.
It's June 9th. I've heard it works for Commissioner Anderson, Commissioner Roden, Commissioner Steele, Commissioner Croft. Does that work for you?
It's fine.
Then Cheryl, then let's set that for June 9th.
Yes, sir. Continuing on, if you don't mind.
Please.
We have to follow Department of Revenue guidelines and timelines. On your schedule, the yellow lines are when we meet as a board on the board meetings and we make decisions and votes. There is a timeline frame I have got to stay within. And I'm going to tell you, September is going to be the tricky timeline. As I was talking with DOR, they told me that August 18th is our board meeting for the last month of August. August 4th, I have to give your proposed operating millage rate, which is the highest millage rate, so it could go out on the trim. Then we roll over to September. You have a board meeting September 1st, and you have a board meeting September 15th. September 15th is going to be our tentative budget and proposal millage rate. By tax law or DOR, I have to have the final within 15 days. From the 16th to the 30th is 15 days. You have to have it advertised by then. After it's been advertised, you have 2 to 5 days to have your final meeting. Yes, we do get our Baker County Press on a Wednesday. However, the Baker County Press date on that newspaper is Thursdays, which would mean that we would not get it until October 1st, which throws us off of our 15 days time frame. I went around several times with DOR about this, and they will go by the press date. Therefore, what I'm asking And what they have advised is I advertise in the press on the 24th, and we have a special meeting on the 29th. So we can meet our guidelines.
What day of the week is the 29th?
Tuesday, which is the 5th day. Remember, after advertising the date of the press, I have to have a final meeting 2 to 5 days, and that is our 5th day.
All right, September is a week. September is a month that has actually it has 5 Tuesdays in it. So it just means that we have a meeting back to back, one meeting on the 29th and then another meeting on the 6th of October.
I don't have any conflict with that, Mr. Chairman.
No, it's fine.
I'm fine with that.
Let's do that. We can the board will entertain at that meeting whether or not we need to have a meeting the very next week, which is the first meeting of the new fiscal year. If we see at that time we do not, we can make the decision then to cancel that meeting. But that'll be an option. We don't have to decide that now.
Sounds good.
Cheryl, you've got your approval of a special public hearing commission meeting on the 29th.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman and Ms. Lewis, you might want to keep in mind too, I believe Tuesday, August the 18th, which is our meeting in August, I believe that's election day.
Does that impact your schedule? I don't see a date on here for August 18th of when we've got to have a meeting.
Yeah, could be some interest to some folks.
Actually, we do have a county commission meeting on the 18th, but is there any action items that we need on the 18th, Cheryl?
On September the 18th?
August the 18th.
Oh, August the 18th. No, sir.
Okay, well, I suggest that you just take a look at those days because August 18th may very well be a voting day, and if it is, excuse me, my apologies. August 18th is the commission date, and then probably the voting date. If that creates you a conflict, we probably need to adjust accordingly.
Just something to keep in mind as we get close.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Cheryl, do you have anything else right now? I think you've got to go ahead for the schedule where we are scheduling the budget presentations to the board on June 9th here in Commission Chambers. That'll be all-day session starting at 9 till we finish. We can talk about the logistics later for that. And you've got to go ahead for the special meeting on September 29th for the millage and budget.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate you.
Do you have anything else that you need to cover?
No, sir.
Thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate the hard work to get this moving forward. Anybody have any questions for Cheryl? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to the next item. Thank you, Cheryl. Have a good evening. The next item I have on the agenda is item number 14, which is the approval of a grant application, the SAMHSA. Mr. Trevor Nelson, you are up.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Proceed.
Okay. As you've probably read in the Baker County Press, we've had an intern that's been working with us, who's also one of our EMTs, that's been working on a program called the Community Paramedicine Program, which is a program that helps us identify those folks that are, we would like to call them super utilizers. Some people might call them frequent flyers. But there are some folks in our community that tend to use our services more than others. There is a program available that we would like to establish to where we can actually reach out to these folks in a non-emergency basis with a different approach versus sending an ambulance out there. We would actually send a vehicle out there with a person to go out there and evaluate them and help them get into the care system. There was an error on my memo that I sent out, which said that it had a 15% match. It actually has a 0 match. If we were able to apply for this, we have to have it in by April 30th. And I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any questions before we did apply and get your approval to do so.
Thank you, sir. With that being said, we do have a request here to allow them to move forward with a grant that would have 0% match. So there's not a $7,500 as shown in this memo. What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
I have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Anderson. I have a second, excuse me, I have a motion by Commissioner Steele. I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Is there any discussion or questions? If not, I'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for the motion? Hearing none, that motion is approved unanimously. Thank you, thank you, Trevor. Please move forward, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good evening. Stay safe.
Yes, sir.
For your team, we just said thank you for the outstanding work they're doing. I know your team is on the front line, and they're working very hard on behalf of the county. And I want to express our sincere appreciation to everybody that continues to put themselves in harm's way to protect everybody else in the public. It does take a special calling for folks that's willing to do that. They have to go home every night to their family, and I know it creates a lot of stress and concern on their behalf. And I hope they understand that we greatly appreciate their service and what they do for each and every one of us and for our fellow citizens. Thank you very much to your entire team.
Amen.
Yes, sir. I'll pass it along.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of a grant, the resolution 2020-10. This is the Council on Aging Bus Wash Facility. Ms. Sarah Little, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in February, on February the 4th, you all actually approved the construction agreement with FDOT for the bus wash facility at the transportation department there with the COA. Since that time, the DOT has requested that a resolution in support of that agreement be adopted as well. The resolution doesn't change any verbiage in the agreement or any funding for the project. It's just simply an additional requirement by FDOT. So 2020-10 is in your budget, in your agenda packet for your consideration tonight.
Thank you very much. Again, this is a facility that does not cost the county any matching funds. We've made it very clear that the project will come in within this budget or scope, whatever will be reduced, whatever, to ensure that it continues to stay on track and on budget. The county will have to deliver the project. So it will not be funding that we're simply passing through to the council agent. We will have to administer the project, and we will do that in partnership with the COA. But before us, we have resolution 2020-10. And what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to read resolution 2020-10 by title, please.
I have a motion by Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Is there, Mr. Commando, would you please read resolution 2020-10?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Resolution 2020-10, a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Baker County, Florida, authorizing the execution of a public transportation grant agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, financial project number 444006-1-94-1 for the construction of a bus wash at the Baker County Transit Facility.
Thank you, Mr. Commando. We have a motion. We have a second. It has been read by title. Is there any discussion by the board? If not, we'll call for a vote. Are there any dissenting votes for the motion? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sarah. The next item we have is Shoals Park fencing. Ms. Sarah, you are up again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all are aware, the Cruise Road boundary of Shoals Park has continued to be a problem for us since the acquisition of Shoals Park property. We have a lot of people that enter the park that way that shouldn't be in the park. We'd like them all to use the entrance like they're supposed to along Otis Arbor Road. And it's been an increasing problem for the residents and property owners of the Cruise Road area. So we actually advertised this project. We did receive several bids from companies local and from within our area. We actually had 4 responses. You'll see your memo there in your packet before you. At this time, we are recommending the low bid from RFE Construction and Fence Services. They are a company out of Jacksonville, Florida. We would like to go with the 4-foot welded wire with 2 rows of smooth wire on top. That amount would be $54,113. We have not worked with this company before, but I have performed some reference checks that were provided and everything turned out great. I've had conversations with the contractor. They're aware of the project. They've visited the site. And they're confident that their price that was submitted was adequate to what we were asking for. So we're just anxiously getting ready for this project. It's, like I said, it's about 7,000 linear feet along the cruise road boundary of the park. And the Shoals Park budget does have adequate funding for this project. It's not a concern on how we're going to pay for it. We're actually confident that this project's going to move forward without any problems.
Thank you, ma'am. We have, in our packet, we have the information from all the bids that was received. The board has heard the recommendations of county staff. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve as presented, and then I'll have a comment.
I have a motion from Commissioner Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Roden. Commissioner Anderson, you have some comments.
Yeah. Sarah, on that fencing, the question is there going to be any gates in that fencing, or is it just going to be solid fencing?
We have 1 gate proposed where there's an existing gate already, and we do have an entrance for our park maintenance staff to be able to get in that area. So there will be fencing in that area, yes, sir. And there's actually some details along the property. There's some property owners that are really in close proximity to this fencing, and so we've got some ways we're going to dress the post up a little bit there, so it doesn't look like just a regular fence running through their backyard. It will look a little nicer in that area where it's visible at.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. How was we going to address behind the existing residences? So you answered that. The next item I have is signage and posting. I really want to make sure when we get the fencing up that we have adequate signs, maybe something from the sheriff's. Sometimes you see some from the Sheriff's Association that has signage protected and monitored by the sheriffs. So if you could kind of work in conjunction with the sheriff and get some kind of signage, that's legal signage on that for trespassing, so it can be enforced. So if you would look at that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We'll
Sarah, in looking at the requirements for posting, there is requirements for the maximum distance between signs.
Yes, that's right.
So you have to take a look to see what that maximum spacing is, such that you ensure you have sufficient signage all the way around the perimeter in order for it to be enforced. Because if you don't meet that spacing requirement, you can't enforce it, okay?
Yeah, that's the reason I wanted you to contact the sheriff, just to make sure.
Yes, sir. We have those requirements, but we'll be sure that we put them out in the appropriate places.
Thank you. I have a question as well. I see we're calling for 4-foot welded wire. Is there a reason why we went with welded wire rather than the regular field fence type option?
Well, we were worried about vandalism, to be honest with you. We thought that the welded wire was our best option, that people would not be able to cut into that or run it over, that it would be long lasting. We actually talked with several fencing contractors and got some ideas on what would be appropriate for the area, and they were confident that would be our best solution.
I would question, because I think the welded wire is a smaller gauge wire, and all the brads are just welded versus field fence where everything is wrapped. So I would ask if you would, let's move forward and approve this, but I would like to ask the question as to, for your research, and if there is a suggested adjustment or change to this, bring it back to the board. But I will tell you, I am concerned with a welded wire fence versus regular field fence, because your joints on a field fence, each joint is wrapped, where welded wire is just tack welded. And it's usually a smaller gauge wire. And I'm not sure we'll have a lifespan out of the welded wire. That's why I would ask the question. I realize this is what we were putting out. So we can talk offline, just ask to get some information. Then if we believe that there's something that we may want to change, we'd come back to the board for that decision. But I'd like to talk with you separately.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Are there any other discussions?
Yes, sir. I have a question for Ms. Little.
Mr.
Do we
Carl.
know what's going to impact our revenue fund or cash flow out there?
Yes, sir. So currently, the Shoals Park budget does have $310,000. We are actually under our 2020 harvest schedule right now. We have crews on site. They were able to make that work while the park was already closed. So we do have another revenue source coming in the next couple of weeks. So we're comfortable with moving forward with the project.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from any other commissioners? If not, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. John, I'll call for a vote. Is there any dissenting votes on the motion that's on the floor? Seeing none, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you, ma'am. Next item up on the agenda. Wow, that is all of the new business items. That was number 16. So we will move on to pending business. Ms. Sarah, you are up again.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you again. I won't hit all of these items as, you know, most of them we've been going over for several months. I will hit a few highlights for you all of some changes since our last meeting. On the Central County Fire Station, we actually have 90% plans, and we've reviewed those with our engineer and staff. The final plans are expected on May 1st, and the project will be ready to bid by June 1st. So we're really excited about that, to see that project move forward. The COA bus wash, you guys approved that secondary resolution document tonight, so that project can begin to move forward once the state has reviewed and signed our contracts and sent those back to us. The other update that I have is for the St. Mary's Cove boat ramp. 90% plans are complete. We were expecting final plans any day now, but there has been a slight delay. There is a electric pole that is in the way. It's where our parking lot is supposed to be. And unfortunately, due to COVID-19, the engineering department at the electric company has been shut down temporarily. So right now we are not able to get the okay to be able to move that electric pole. So once the engineering department reopens and we can get that worked out with the electricity company, then we'll have those final plans ready for you all to look at. And we're really excited about that project also. The Shoals Park surveying and fencing, as you all know, the surveying has been done for quite some time, and we are moving forward with the fencing project. Commissioner Bennett will follow up with those questions that you had, and as long as there's not any issues with that, then we'd like to go out for bid for that project. Like to begin that project in the next couple of weeks as well. And the Sanderson Community Fire Station, we have gotten word that the funding was approved at the House and the Senate level. We're awaiting the final approval on the budget from Governor DeSantis, but of course, with everything that's going on right now, we've not heard, how that's going to turn out. But we're just anxiously awaiting the final outcome for that funding.
Thank you. Is there anything else, Ms. Little?
No, sir.
Do anybody from the board have any questions for the county manager? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is county manager's report.
I don't have any further comments at this time. I'd just like to say that I appreciate our staff. The last few weeks have been difficult and have been different. Definitely on trying to just operate on a daily basis and just things that, we take for granted every day, how simple it is to get some, jobs done. We've had to think outside the box on how to make that work. And I'd like to say a huge thanks to the Department of Health. Those ladies at our local health department have done an excellent job. I cannot say enough nice things about them, and especially the sheriff's office as well. Everyone has communicated and worked together so well through this whole process. And I'm just proud of everybody that's been a part of it. And I thank you all for your support.
Thank you, Sarah. And I would like to say on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, thank you as well for keeping us updated as you have. You've been excellent with making certain that as information come out, you texted us. It didn't matter what time it was. It didn't matter if it was nighttime, daytime, whenever. You made sure, at least I know from my perspective, you provided me that information. I'm confident that you're sharing with the other commissioners as well. So thank you again for staying on top of it. I know it's a bit challenging working through this what is the new normal for the moment. Hopefully we'll get back to a modified normal soon. But with limiting public access to our facilities, yet continuing to operate and managing that. Thank you for the leadership that you continue to show and working us through that. So thank you very much for your efforts as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Moving on, the next item is the county attorney. Mr. Commando, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to congratulate each of you and thank you for your level of preparation and professionalism. As I think you know, I participated in a number of different forums with other municipal attorneys and county attorneys across the state. And I'll tell you, over the past couple of weeks, I've heard some nightmares of how their virtual meetings have run, and ours really went off without a hitch. So thank you. And if there's anything I can do to help you during these difficult times, I'm always here.
Thank you, Rich. And I'll take all your cue on that as well and say, I reached out to Sarah and to Clint Shivers, our IT manager, a little over a week ago, and said, let's do more than just audio, let's do video. And they were fantastic with working together to let's put this together. We had an individual meeting with the three of us to work through many of those items to figure out how we would present, how we would handle the participants, how we would handle the attendees, who would speak, how we'd speak it. If you notice, we purposely put everything in one presentation so I could just go through it so that we didn't introduce additional challenges with swapping screens and things. And all of that was an intent to try to ensure this meeting went smooth. We had a discussion with the other commissioners simply to talk about the logistics of how to run this meeting. I appreciate their support. They had some good ideas as well. And as such, it's been a huge, tremendous team effort. And so I appreciate your comments on that. Our intent was to ensure that this went smooth while still allowing public comments as necessary. And I'll take comments in a few minutes as well. So thank you for your comments with that. The next item is actually commissioner comments. And normally I start to my left and work my way down. In this case, I'll give you all a free for all. Whoever wants to go first, the other four commissioners get the floor. Mr. Rhodes, you got it first.
All right. I just want to thank everybody too. I thought I was a little nervous about this because I don't do much of it, but I thought it went well tonight and ran smooth. So I'm really glad about that and appreciative. And I want to thank Sarah too for just keeping us all knowledgeable about what's going on. She's been great at that. And I just want to tell her thank you for the great job you're doing. And also I wanted to maybe, I think Commissioner Anderson, from what he talked about earlier, maybe going to bring up some of this stuff about moving forward, but some of our offices, I know I went into the supervisor of elections office and they're kind of looking at maybe putting up some type of screens, you know, for the future, because I don't think this is going to end real soon. I think there's going to be precautions that need to be taken. So I just wanted to mention that there may be some levels of safety that we could take that when it does come time to open up, and maybe could open up sooner if we do take better precautions.
Mr. Chairman, can I follow up on that?
You can, Sarah, you're up.
We actually have on our maintenance staff, Mr. Joe Hayden, who's a glass expert. He's actually been around to our departments and he's working on some prices to put up glass panels where we have open lobbies at. We're working on that actively in anticipation of being able to reopen to the public at a limited capacity, or just, you know, continue for a safety feature for our employees.
Good news.
Sarah, thank you for that. I will also pass on to you a particular company that contacted me at the port. I've dealt with them in the past, and they contacted me that the company does a tremendous amount of different type of plastics, plexiglass, and things such as that. And they have stocked up and geared up to provide exactly these type of barriers and things. And so you may just want to reach out to them to get some ideas and potential quotes and things as well. So I'll forward that contact to you from my work number, my work email, so that you can reach out to them at and check with them as well. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, like I said again, I know that we've all said this. I probably can't say it enough, but I do want to also thank the sheriff and Bev and her team, and of course our health department with Amy and her team. And again, like we said earlier, Sarah, your professionalism and what you've been doing to keep us posted on things. Like I said, just want to say thank you. And again, Clint, also for your help, and Commissioner, Chairman Bennett, your help also to get us off the ground tonight. But again, just thank all of you, and I appreciate what you're doing for us.
Thank you, sir. We've heard from 2 commissioners. What about Commissioner Anderson or Croft?
Chairman, if I may.
Mr. Croft, you're up.
Okay, I want to thank the staff. I've been trying to stay in touch with some of them and appreciate Ms. Little and the work she's done and keeping us informed. I have a question for Mr. Shiver. Not to put you on the spot, I don't know what you're capable of seeing there, but I'm just curious. Did we have anybody just logging in to listen that was not addressing us tonight? I'm just curious if, you know, I don't have to know who, but I'm just curious, did we have anybody just tuning in, so to speak?
Yes, sir. You had, I think I counted at one time 10 or 11 that were here that were just viewing, not participating.
We would have had social distancing. You would have been at our board. So that's cool. Thank you.
Commissioner Croft, as of right now, we have a total of 23 at the moment, between 10 panelists and 13 attendees. Some of those have spoken or whatever, but again, we have a number of folks online right now, so we are. Okay.
My next question would be, I know we always post the audio after a board meeting, but I know this one is video. Are we going to go ahead and post the video where this could be viewed also? I mean, I think it should be. I think there's going to be a lot of interest, and I think this is a good way to begin to move our community accustomed to the video streaming of board meeting, which wouldn't be streaming, but live streaming, but at least it would be available. But I think there's a lot of interest right now.
Well, from a technical aspect, we can do it either way. We've got the video recording and we've got the audio only recording. That would be a decision the board would need to make and give us direction with.
I would, for one, I'd love to see the video go up tomorrow also.
Let me, Commissioner Croft, one of the things before we can make a decision on do that, I think there are some legal aspects as to doing that. When you start posting video, I think you get into an issue of having it closed captions and things such as that from a legal standpoint. And so we have to be careful that we, if we do decide to post, it's got to be in the appropriate manner. So Mr. Commando, you have any thoughts on it, please?
You know, actually my other clients that have done the video streaming and the video posting, when they do it through Facebook Live or YouTube, those 2 companies automatically put the closed captioning with it.
Yeah, but in this case, we'd simply be putting our recording on our website. It wouldn't be going through anybody else's. What I hear Commissioner Croft requesting.
No,
Right. I think when you post it,
I don't mind it going also. Matter of fact, I'd probably get a bigger audience.
my understanding is when you post it, it takes the audio and it'll translate it into closed captioning like speech to text.
But I think that Facebook would be the way to go.
Then here's what my recommendation is. I would ask that Sarah research along with the county attorney and make sure, and of course with Clint as well, and make sure that if we have the ability to post it and we meet all legal requirements, then let's post the video along with the audio. But if we have difficulties or issues from a legal standpoint on the requirements, then we post the audio. But if we have the ability and can do so without any concerns, then move forward with posting the video as well. Fair enough?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Croft, would that address your wishes?
Yes, that'll be fine. And if there is no legal problem, then I would like to see us, if we have to do another one of these, actually do it with a live stream. There is the software that's available that would feed it through to Facebook Live. And so we could still record it, but yet still do the live feed.
We're certainly looking at those options to make sure there's no concerns with being able to do that, okay? Clint has just got some direction to do a little bit more research on how it can be done. Anything else, Commissioner Croft?
No, sir. No. I'm going to yield to Mr. Anderson because I want to hear the discussion on the reopening.
Thank you, sir. All right, Commissioner Anderson, bring us home.
Yes, sir. First of all, we want to collaborate what everybody else has said about staff. I think that we have one of the best staffs out there. Our interim county manager, I don't think if we had a county manager could have done a better job. So I think, Sarah, you've done an outstanding job, not only giving us information, but keeping the county running in these difficult times. And I haven't heard anything but good news and good compliments that's come from everyone I've talked to. And I appreciate that as being a commissioner. It means a lot to hear that kind of feedback from the community. So I want to give you kudos. Clint, you've done an outstanding job with this video feed. I was nervous. Commissioner Croft likes this video stuff because he's a preacher and they like that kind of stuff. I'm an old country boy that don't like this kind of stuff. So, but if that's the way we're going to go in the future, I'll support what Commissioner Croft wants to do. I might wear something that covers, one of the masks, but it covers the whole face thing. But other than that, I would support whatever y'all want to go in that direction. The main reason I want to talk about is reopening up our local community. I need a haircut. And even though I don't have much hair, I do like to cut what little bit I do have. And my wife won't do it for me. So, but anyway, I think that we look at what the governor and what comes out of Tallahassee. Of course, we need to listen to what the health professionals say also. But I see throughout the United States that everybody's looking at this right now. I think that we need to be safe. I'm not saying a full-blown, let's go back to normal, because I don't think we can right now. I think one day we will be. But I agree with what Sarah and them is talking about, far as putting up dividers so that people can come in, because it's hard to stay 6 foot from somebody when you're trying to hand them money or you're trying to deal with them face to face. And I understand that. I think that we can, we have smart people in our community. We have smart business leaders in our community. They know how to social distance. They know how to keep their restaurants clean, their tables sanitized. Your people who handles the haircuts and all that stuff would know how to sanitize and keep their areas clean. But I also believe that we're past the point where we need to open up our government, get back to our meetings. I like this, but I would rather be sitting next to y'all so I can see what I can see some of you, but I can't see all of you. But most of all, I like to see the people in our community out in the audience giving their feedback. And I think they're more comfortable doing that with a face-to-face meeting than they are on this, because I know a lot of people's not going to talk on this web stream like they would if they were sitting face-to-face, because that's just the way they are. And that's really the way I am. I'm doing this and I'm uncomfortable with it, but I'm doing it because we have to do it. But I think we're coming to a point now where we need to look at the other side of this epidemic that we went through. And I think that we need to open back up our community in a safe manner. And I'm thinking if the governor comes forth before our next meeting and says that we can open up these certain establishments in a safe manner, that we need to give our chairman that authority to let the staff know, Ms. Sarah, the way we're going to go about reopening back our community. I have full confidence in our chairman that he's going to follow what needs to be done in the right way. I think he's a great chairman. I think we have great people that's leaders in this community other than ourselves. And I think that we can be smart about this thing, but I also believe that it's time that we look at opening back our government, open back our restaurants. I'm hungry to sit down at one of these nice restaurants and eat and get my hair cut. But we need to do all that in a safe manner. And I realize that, but I still think that you can push some things too far and you can be way over careful. I don't know if I said that right, but I think if you listen to a lot of people, we would probably stay in our houses the rest of our life because they just don't like germs to begin with. We've dealt with germs throughout our whole life, and the only way we're going to develop immunities to these things is get out amongst them and let our bodies do what the Lord developed them to do, is to fight these and develop antibodies. But we do need to look at the ones that are more capable or more that has breathing troubles and older. We need to look at those, and we need to look at maybe not making them, but requesting that they wear a mask and the protection that they need until this epidemic is fully gone. But us younger, which I'm not very young, but I'm still in good health. I'm still working. I haven't slowed down a bit, and I'm still doing my job, and I feel healthy, and I want to see the rest of our people working. And I know every commissioner wants the same thing. And all I'm asking the commission to do is if the opportunity presents itself before our next board meeting, so we all have to decide in a board meeting, that we give our chairman the authority. If the governor comes out next week and says, open up this with these restrictions, that we give our chairman that authority to go ahead and move in that same direction. Thank y'all for listening to me.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't think that we, as a board, actually closed anything.
We closed our parks and things. We did close our public facilities, but we did not require restaurants and things to close. But we did close our public facilities.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that.
We the rest of it, we would have done whatever the governor said. And I think we still need to do that. When he opens it up, we open that up. I think on the parks and all, I have no problem with that. I think that we need to be careful that we listen to the health officials, but we need to keep in mind, and I don't mean this in any negative way, remember our state health department is our state health department. I don't think you will get them to go out in front of the governor and start telling us to do things that he won't approve. So I think we got to keep that in mind.
What I would ask that the board is okay with is once the guidelines come out, the restrictions that we've put in place at the county level, us review those, and if we believe those are can be gradually phased out, then we will take the appropriate steps to gradually phase those out. It would not be my intention all of a sudden in one day to open everything back up as a free-for-all. That's not the intent. No. But I concur with Commissioner Anderson in that we've got to start taking steps to try to get our community back to somewhat normal. There's a lot of small businesses that rely on others coming in and out. And I have to be honest with you, at this moment, I'm thankful I'm not part of a small business owner, okay? Because it has been an extreme challenge for a lot of those businesses. And I do believe we've got to take steps to try to help them get back on their feet, while at the same token trying to balance out the public health overall. But I think that what I hear Commissioner Anderson requesting is the board give authority that if restrictions are listed on a larger scale, then those restrictions that we put in place at county level, that if we believe it is appropriate before the next commission meeting, we can start to phase some of those out.
Yes.
That's what my understanding from Commissioner Anderson is. And I'll certainly like to hear from the other board members.
Mr. Chair, like I said, I can concur with Commissioner Anderson and also Commissioner Croft when it comes to the fact that definitely we got to follow what the governor says anyway, as far as the guidelines. And I would almost bet that we're going to see some guidelines come out where there's going to be some requirements of wearing face masks and stuff in restaurants and all kinds of things for the people. But yeah, if we have anything that we can open up, like I know that the beaches out at Jacksonville this week for walking or doing trails, and if there's something we can do to get people at least back to normalcy, I would agree with giving you the authority to do whatever if the governor approves it. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Roden.
Yes, I'm in agreement totally. I think when the governor gives the okay, that I'm in total agreement to open up whatever we can, whatever we shut down. And so I feel like he's going to open up things pretty soon with precautions and with some guidelines, but I'm in total favor of us giving you the authority to do whatever you need to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Croft, any other comments?
No, I'm in agreement with that.
Fantastic. Well, what we'll do is, I will tell you, I will have a little bit of reluctance with opening the county business right back up for full exposure for our county employees. We will phase that. We are still conducting business. We have not stopped doing business. We just had to modify the way we do business. So nothing has stopped there. Even with these meetings, while I recognize and appreciate, look, this is the first commission meeting I've been in a live meeting, and there's not a person in this big room with me except for here. So I have to tell you, it may be strange for y'all being at home by yourself. It's pretty strange being here in an empty room in a commission meeting, okay, and having a commission meeting. But I think we still need to make sure that we're being prudent as commissioners and not putting people in rooms where they have to violate that social distancing because you can't meet here. So we may have another meeting like this virtually, but I hope by the following meeting that we will be back where we are here because those restrictions have been reduced enough. And with the support of our local health department, they all agree and have agreed that we can move forward with doing that. So we'll take that under advisement and we'll continue to monitor what's happening at the state level. And if we see there's restrictions relinquished there, we'll certainly take a look at what we're doing as well. So thank you for your input, Commissioner Anderson, and for the guidance with that.
Mr. Chair, I have one other thing. Just a quick note on what Sarah already mentioned earlier. If we do, and like I said, again, I know with most of the time it's not going to be above a line item budget type thing, but if there's something that comes up where we're prior to us getting back together that that plexiglass or those dividers are going to push a budget, I'm not opposed with having you to be able to approve those things, because if that means getting our office back open without us being there to vote on it, I don't know how the rest of the commissioners feel like, but I think we've got to do what we got to do, the right thing for our protection for our employees and our staff and our constitutional offices. So that's just my opinion on that as far as those dividers, because I think it's important.
Yeah, I'm in full support of that too. I am. Go ahead, Chairman, you can handle that through Sarah and we can get those dividers up. I don't think that it's going to be it probably is not going to get past the threshold that we have to meet anyway. But if it does, I think that you should have the authority to go ahead and approve those and we can get those things done.
Thanks, Joe. What I'd like is a motion by one of the members to move, to move forward with a purchasing and installing appropriate barriers where identified and needed. And we'll make budget adjustments in the future as necessary. But I'd like to have that as a form of a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner Anderson. I have a second by Commissioner Roden. Are there any other discussions? We will coordinate with Sarah on those, and I'll give approval before we move forward with those expenditures. It's fair enough for the board. Okay. Any other discussions?
Sarah, if you'll just keep us updated on how that's going, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir, I certainly will. One thing that I'd like to get back in the habit of doing is providing those weekly Friday memos to you all. It's been a little crazy and hectic the last few weeks. I'm trying to keep in coordination with you all in other ways, but I'd like to get back to that this Friday. So we'll continue to keep you updated that way.
Thank you. So I have a motion on the floor. I have a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, anybody dissenting, please signify it now. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Steele. Commissioner Steele, for bringing that up as a point. Are there any other comments from the commissioners? Seeing none, I'm going to go back to the next item on the agenda, which is the final public comments. I want to reiterate the fact that we have the opportunity to provide public comments through the 4 ways. We had it through the ability to through, here I'm trying to get mine up. So we've had the ability through the form of emailing in comments. Sarah, have you received any emails?
Yes, sir, we have. We would have one email that actually, the comment originated on our call-in number, the 259-0210. And so that information was sent to me by the staff member that's taking those phone calls. Unfortunately, the person that called would not provide a name, but the only question that they had would be when the county parks will be open again. And I think we've already discussed that.
Thank you, ma'am. And just for the record, again, so I do address it, we will use appropriate caution for our county parks, but as we see the restrictions are lifted at a state level, we will certainly follow with that. But there should not be an assumption because it's lifted at a statewide level that we have automatically opened our parks. Please check back to our websites and call the county offices if you have any questions on when we actually open the parks. Just because the governor says it's open doesn't necessarily mean that we have. So please check our county website. Sarah, do you have any other items?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay, we've not had any other emails in. Clint, have you had anyone that's entered comments through the chat function or through the raising their hands through Zoom?
No, sir, I see none.
Thank you very much. And I take it at this moment, there's nobody on the line making a comment as we speak. So with that being the case, we have successfully navigated our way through our very first virtual meeting here in the county. And I would express my sincere appreciation to Clint Shivers for the research to determine what was the best platform for us to be able to do this, as well as for Sarah for helping set this up and ensuring that we had the opportunity to move through this in a very productive and successful manner. So hats off to both of you for handling this as you have. With that, if there's no other comments, Mr. Croft?
I'm just saying, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the way you conducted it.
Thank you. It's been a privilege. And with
Yes,
that,
thank you.
with that, we stand adjourned. Have a good evening. And stay safe.